Do you ever feel like you're constantly running on empty and no matter how much you push through, you're still exhausted? I totally get it. I've been there too. And you might try to power through the stress thinking it'll all get better in time, but it doesn't. Your mind, your body, and your soul need rest, but not just any rest. Have you ever wondered if the reason you're not feeling refreshed is because you're missing out on the rest God actually designed for you? It's more than sleep. It's about resting in His peace. And in this episode, I'm going to dive into why God's call for rest is not just a suggestion, but a powerful tool for healing. So grab a seat, take a breath, and let's explore how Sabbath rest can begin to restore your soul. And it's time to stop avoiding it. Hey warrior, welcome to Heal with God. As a Christian struggling with trauma, anxiety, and depression, you long for peace, but you worry healing might never come. I'm Heather O'Brien, and I've been there. Through learning to hear God's voice, I found the freedom and peace I was desperate for. If you're ready for real healing and freedom from fear, this podcast is for you. I pray the spirit of revelation fills your heart, and may you hear God's voice as you tune in. I know you're tired of feeling like a failure and even more tired of relying on medications that just numb the pain instead of bringing real healing. You're stuck in the cycle of isolation, feeling hopeless, and longing for peace. You know deep down that God wants to heal you, but you're not sure how to make that happen. And I want you to know this, healing is possible even if you feel stuck. If you've been praying without results, trying different methods that never seem to stick, or struggling to find the strength to move forward, the Trauma Painkiller Roadmap is exactly what you need. This proven 4-step system will guide you toward emotional freedom so that you can finally release the pain and shame that have been holding you back. The program includes video training, downloadable resources, and daily accountability with me, only for $23 a month, making healing both affordable and doable. Plus, if you need extra support, there's live coaching available to ensure you're walking the path to freedom with confidence. Let's take this journey together. You don't have to do it alone anymore. Check out the details and sign up at heatherobrien.net/courses. That's heatherobrien.net/courses. I used to feel like I had to keep working, keep pushing, and just to feel like I was doing enough. I thought if I could just do more, whether that meant working harder or sacrificing my needs, then I'd eventually feel better. But all I ever felt was drained, burned out, and maybe distant from God. I was missing something critical, and that was God's invitation to rest. And when I learned that rest isn't just about physical sleep, but about being spiritually recharged, that's when things really began to shift for me. The moment I realized that my emotional and spiritual healing could happen when I rested in God's presence, everything changed. And that's what I want to share with you today. Why rest is vital to healing from emotional trauma and how it can bring real peace to your mind and your soul. Now, it's very possible that you're thinking, I don't have time to rest. I don't want to rest. If I try to rest, then my mind starts racing and those memories start coming back. But I need you to hear this teaching. Stay with me for a little bit and just hear me out. Rest is commanded by God. The Sabbath actually isn't optional. In Exodus 20, verses 8 to 11, it kind of reminds us that we are able to rest and keep the day holy, and we're actually supposed to. And why is because the rest allows us to reconnect with God's peace and provision. It's reminding us He's provider. If you go back to the Old Testament where, first of all, God rested after He created the world and everything in it, He rested on the seventh. And even God took a break. And when we honor rest, we create space for God to refresh us spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Rest is actually a pathway to your healing. And rest opens the door to supernatural provision. This is one of my favorite stories, and I suppose this is the reason everything changed. This is the reason I was like, yeah, that's a good reason to rest. But go back to Exodus. Do you remember when manna used to fall from the sky? That was like food from heaven when the Israelites were in the wilderness and they didn't have anything to eat. God just rained down food for them. They would call it manna. And God provided this extra food to the Israelites when they rested. They actually got double portion so that they could rest on the Sabbath. They actually got double portion the day before the Sabbath. And that was God's provision for them to rest. Do you get it? So in your life, if you want to see provision in a supernatural way, you might just need a rest. And provision doesn't have to be financial, right? This can be for your healing. This can be for all the things and breakthroughs that you're looking for. It might be in the surrender of God's perfect plan, in the obedience to his word. He says to rest, but anything that he asks of us is because it's good for us. Not because he's withholding anything. It's because he knows it's going to turn out in our favor. I want you to take just a moment today to reflect on your current rest habits. Sit with the Lord in quietness and ask him to show you how rest can be a tool for your healing. Maybe write down one thing that God reveals to you about how he wants you to rest. Make a plan to implement that this week. Even if you don't feel ready to rest, I'm kind of giving you a challenge here. This is your activation. I want you to take a step of faith and trust that God will meet you in your willingness. Let his peace refresh you in ways that you've never experienced before. Even if you feel like you can't afford to rest because life is overwhelming, it's got a lot of demands, I get that. I want to remind you that the rest is God's design for healing. It's a gift, not a burden. So I'm encouraging you to start small. Take that step to prioritize rest and trust that God will meet you there in your time of rest. You'll start to feel a shift in your emotional and spiritual health that will carry you into greater freedom. Earlier, I talked about how you're not alone in this journey. And if you're tired of feeling isolated, relying on medications that just mask the pain, or wondering why healing seems so out of reach, I want to remind you that God wants to heal you. You don't have to stay stuck in this cycle anymore. The Trauma Painkiller Roadmap offers a simple, proven 4-step process to help you release trauma, anxiety, and depression. Imagine waking up each day with more peace, emotional freedom, and a deeper connection with God. With the video teachings, downloadable resources, and daily accountability with me, you'll have everything that you need to keep moving forward, and it's all just for $23 a month. This is your chance to walk in a life of freedom so that you can leave behind the shame, fear, and pain. And with a life coaching option, you'll have the extra support to ensure you're on the right track. Visit heatherobrien.net/courses for all the details. That's heatherobrien.net/courses. I'm Heather O'Brien, and it's been such an honor to be in your earbuds today on the Heal with God podcast. If you're looking to hear God's voice, heal from the inside out, and maybe even share a laugh or two, you're definitely in the right place. Every Monday, we bring you powerful interviews and practical tips to support your healing journey. And every Thursday, join me for a Pray and Declare episode, as it's like a spiritual spa treatment to realign your heart with God. Just a quick reminder, while the content here is meant to inspire and guide, it's not a substitute for professional care from your physician or therapist. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Join us back every Monday and Thursday. And until then, I'm praying blessings and favor will chase you down.